question presented here is one she doesn't even address, but it's the only issue really in dispute, which is, can a former president say that this document, an executive privilege, precludes executive branch agents who are looking into whether a crime was committed from reviewing those documents? It's too early to say that they're going to try to put those documents before a grand jury. There's no contemplation right now or proposal to put it outside the executive branch. So her decision is premature. And the dispute isn't over whether this document is potentially executive privilege and this one isn't. That's not the dispute. The dispute is whether the president, even if it is executive privilege, can the president bar DOJ from reviewing the documents? And the answer to that, I think, is clearly no.
So let me decode the argument he's making there. And I actually completely agree with him. I'm no legal expert, but what he's saying makes a lot of sense. I never thought in a million years I would say that about William Barr, okay? But what he's saying makes sense because his argument is the DOJ should be able to review all the documents, even if some of those documents are allegedly protected under privilege, right? Attorney-client privilege or executive privilege. It's an entirely different case when you're talking about presenting those documents before a grand jury, right? When you're presenting documents before a grand jury as part of the evidence against Donald Trump, well, then you can hash out whether or not the documents you want to present as evidence are protected under attorney-client privilege or executive privilege. What he's arguing here is that the judge made a premature ruling pertaining to whether or not the DOJ can review those documents before they're even presented before a grand jury. And as we all know, the judge's ruling, again, prevents the DOJ from doing that. A little more from his statement here that just kind of helps to elaborate the point he's making.
Even if it is executive privilege, can the president bar DOJ from reviewing the documents? And the answer to that, I think, is clearly no.
So you're saying that that only comes into play if you're going to put those documents before a grand jury.
Right.
So that in this venue, this period of this investigation, within the executive branch, there's no ability for the president to say, I brought these with me. They're my papers. I have every right to keep them at the House if I want to keep them at the House. Yeah. And you can't look at them, Department of Justice.
Totally wrong. Totally wrong.
Totally wrong. Now, look, I don't know what motivates William Barr. I can't help but think back to when he intentionally misrepresented the Mueller report to the public. And it seems as though, you know, when he's in the good graces of Donald Trump or whoever he's serving, he has no problem lying on their behalf or twisting, you know, his legal expertise to fit a narrative that supports his favored president. And as we know, Donald Trump and William Barr are not on good terms because, to William Barr's credit, I feel a little disgusting saying it, but to his credit, he refused to carry out Trump's nonsense about overturning the election after he had lost to Joe Biden. So they had a falling out, and it could be the case that William Barr is now giving actual enlightened legal expertise in commenting on this story. But I will say that was an interview on Fox News. I don't know if the commentary he provided there, the legal analysis he provided there, has any impact on conservatives who happen to support Trump no matter what. But as I've said before, and I'll say again, the most important thing to keep in mind here is that this is not, and it should not be, a partisan issue. We should not create a system in which a president can break whatever law he wants with absolutely no consequences. Again, for me personally, don't care that he was a Republican president, don't care that I disliked him. If it were Barack Obama who did this, I would want him to be investigated to the fullest extent. If an ordinary US citizen had stolen classified documents and stored it in their storage closet, there would be no discussion about whether or not that individual's rights are being violated in the process of an investigation into what they had done. The idea that Donald Trump will not be prosecuted, and that is what William Barr thinks, is insane to me. I think William Barr is probably right. I think that we should lower our expectations, if we have any expectations, that Trump will ultimately pay the price for what he has done. But what I'm worried about is what impunity for people in positions of power or for the elite means for the future. Because what Trump tried to pull after the 2020 election, his attempts at overturning the will of the people in this country and essentially just stealing the election, declaring himself a winner. The reason why he thought he could do that, and all his lackeys thought they could do that, is because they thought there won't be any consequences at all. Why not try it? What could go wrong? It's not like we're going to be punished for it. Now, some of his lackeys are dealing with some punishment, some investigations. Trump is being investigated. But again, when there are no consequences, when an administration does something like, let's say, commit war crimes, for instance, or engage in warrantless wiretapping of Americans, if they don't suffer consequences for that, it sends a message that people in the executive branch can do whatever they want, regardless of how it dismantles our democracy or our civil liberties, with impunity. And they should try whatever it is that they want to try. No consequences, right? And I think that is a scary country to live in. And I don't want to support that kind of two-tier justice system where all of us get crushed with laws that people in positions of power get to get away with.